Amber Geiger, the Dallas police officer that shot and killed Botham John, who was a 26-year-old black man, originally from the Caribbean. Now he moved to America, and Amber Geiger a year ago went into his apartment, intruded in, shot him dead, killed him. She was found guilty yesterday. So I covered it, and it was good news that she was found guilty, because obviously white cops in America, not often found guilty. Today, not the best of news, if you ask me. It just came out before I went live. A Dallas County jury sentenced Amber Geiger to 10 years in prison after convicting her of murdering her upstairs neighbor, Botham John, in his apartment last year. Geiger has been facing 5 to 99 years. Had been facing 5 to 99 years of life in prison. And for those that weren't watching yesterday, as a reminder, we were the only national media down there last year covering, I mean, what do you call this other than an execution? You know, I don't want to, what's the word? Tokenize you.
Yeah.
But I'd rather hear from a black man before I comment.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on this?
So, I mean...
Oh, by the way, for those of you that don't know, I've explained it 25 times, but here we go. Joseph is our new camera person, if you haven't seen. So he started last week. He's working on some things. We're going to show you some new stuff today that he's already done. So Joseph will be joining us and me on the road as soon as we book the flight. So
absolutely.
What are your thoughts on this?
So definitely on this particular situation, one of the things that that jumps out me, and I just want to say as a person, she's guilty. She says she was threatened. She was not threatened. She was drunk and went to the wrong apartment and saw a stranger sitting on a couch. Last time I had somebody be in that realm, or where it was a stranger I didn't know, I said, "What are you doing?" I understand she's a lady. I understand maybe there's a sense of, oh God, there's a guy there. But then there's a history of racism, and there's a history from text messages to other, the sort of locker room talk that basically where she's just calling people of color a lot of disparaging names. I have been in a situation as a person of color, as a man of color, and just as a background, I give the audience a little bit of background. My mother's from Puerto Rico, but my father and grandfather from Trinidad. So this is where, and I have West African roots all the way going back to Africa. I identify as a person of color, and what you get a lot of times is because I am 6'4", I'm about 240, don't tell anybody, you get a lot of situations where people are intimidated by you because of the color of your skin or the size that you are. And I'm like, look, I was just trying to eat some vegetables and eat meat. That was how I got as big as I am, I think. And for her to say that
you look like Hercules.
Thank you. Yeah. His bouncer when we go on the road. What I say is that I think it was very disgusting that this person who clearly murdered another human being showed no remorse, because not only did she shoot the person, but 2 days later text another person to basically say, oh, this isn't a big deal, let's have sex.
Actually, the same night.
Oh, the same night, excuse me. And, one of the things I will say is that when you're trying to have sex the same night, that means you don't care. You don't care about the life you just took. And he was sitting there chilling. He was watching something on TV, minding his business in his apartment, and he got shot for no reason. And her excuse was, I was threatened. Well, you're a police officer. You're not supposed to be threatened that easily, and you're supposed to handle it a lot better than she did. And I think that there is such a racial implication here that is just, there's a sense of white privilege here, in the sense that she only got the time that she got. She should have gotten more. It should have been a life sentence because of the lack of remorse, because of the fact that she was trespassing on his property, and because of the fact that she was basically out of her mind. She was basically not really caring. And I personally think that this is exactly what is wrong in the general society. This is exactly what's wrong. That it's okay if somebody of color gets killed, but if the situation was reversed and a black guy or a Hispanic guy was killing a white woman, death penalty, without question. They wouldn't. It would have. The trial would have lasted about a week, and the verdict would have been done in 20 minutes. Like, it would have been hands down. I just kind of coin a phrase, kind of reminds me of Felicity Huffman, who got 14 days and a $50,000 fine. Am I getting those numbers right? And then there's another woman who got sentenced to 5 years because she put an address on her son's school application just so he could go to a better school. 5 years to 14 days. Wow. So this is the type of injustice. This is the justice inequality that just always happens. And I want us to get past this, because, like, when I look at people, I don't look at people as skin color. I look at people as, hey, you're a good person. You're a person that I want to talk to. You're a good person I want to work with. You're a person I don't go that route. And like, I was raised in a mixed culture and a multicultural house. So when I see this, it's just like, we're 50 years removed from civil rights movement, like the major part of the movement. Have we moved forward at all? That's the question, because you're seeing this happen. And the one thing I could say, I guess maybe 50 years ago, she wouldn't even have been arrested. It would have been like, it's not even a big deal. So I just think it's horrible. It's atrocious. I would love to hear what people in the chat are saying, because I would like to think that the majority would feel that same way, that the facts are clear. And just to reiterate, just in case people don't know, facts are clear. She came home drunk. She went drunk.
I just want to correct you that
the
toxicology didn't show that, but there was thought that she was drinking, but we don't know if she was actually drunk.
But here's the point. You came home, went to the wrong floor, so you were clearly not paying attention at the very least. And instead of knocking and saying, "Excuse me, what are you doing in my apartment?" and giving the person a chance to say, "Hey, this is my apartment. You're on the 6th floor," or whatever floor she went to, she just pulled out her gun and shot him. And then went about her evening and text somebody later and said, we're going to have sex. I want everybody in the audience to just ask themselves a question. If somebody they loved had that happen to them, what would you want? What would you think? What would you feel?
A few things. Number one, I look at age, too.
Yeah.
She's 31. She's going to get out of jail at 41.
And still live her life.
Where you still have, the prime of your life. If you're lucky, health-wise, she could still, I'm not a gynecologist, but women are having babies later and later. So this is not, obviously 10 years of somebody's life is a lot, but she's still getting out of jail at 41 years old with plenty of life ahead. Yeah. Secondly, I don't want to politicize this and make it about the campaign, but the facts are the facts. There are black men sitting in prison because of Joe Biden and Bill Clinton for life, for cocaine or for drugs, when this white police officer got a slap on the wrist. And by the way, 10 years, the details did not say. We don't know if she could get off before 10 years for good behavior, which happens all the time. In 5 years from now, in 8 years from now, when nobody's paying attention, and Botham John's name, if we're keeping it real, is no longer as relevant as it is now, is there going to be a huge kick and a scream if she gets out for good behavior in 7.5, 8 years?
And which is going to happen, because that's generally the justice system. You go to jail for 10 years, good behavior, you're out in 6 or 7 years. 6 or 7 years, is that equal to a person's life? Because last time I checked, most people who commit cold-blooded murder, because that's what it was. It wasn't like he tried to attack her or anything, or self-defense, or it was cold-blooded murder. Last time I checked, people generally get 25 to life for that. And when there is a record of no remorse, there are judges that will say, you showed remorse, I'll be lenient. She showed no remorse until she was caught.
She did cry on the stand, blah, blah, blah.
On the stand? That doesn't count.
Right. No,
that doesn't count.
I agree. I just want to say, in fairness, she did.
Yes.
She cried and said she lives with it every day, yada, yada, yada.
Well, she should live with it every day for the next 25 years.
But to me, Does her being found guilty give white police officers some hesitation not to be lunatic, frankly, police terrorists?
Yeah.
Yeah. But 10 years and getting off on good behavior earlier, which is most likely, it shows you the lack of value on black lives. Because, frankly, if a fucking black guy from the Caribbean intruded on a white woman's home, shot her dead, he'd be facing the death penalty, particularly in Texas, okay? So this is, even though there's like a quarter, halfway justice that she was found guilty, you are not going to stop seeing these things happen if the value of black lives is not elevated to equal or at least close to equal.
It has to be. It has to
and
be.
this is not that. This, to me, for what she did, if you even wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, okay? You want to give her the benefit of the doubt that she truly, whatever, she was tired, she worked all day, and she just really got confused or whatever. Even if she went into that apartment, she said he was coming at me. There was no proof that happened. So there is a racial thing going on
and
here.
Here's the thing. Even if he was coming at you, he was probably coming at you to ask her, what are you doing in my apartment?
Right.
Like, I know for a fact, I had somebody actually a few years back walk into an old apartment of mine and actually walk in, and I was like, excuse me, hey, how you doing? What can I help you? And I'm sure, like, I'm sorry, like, somebody coming to my house, like, that's my house. Like, I have the right to say, what are you doing coming into my house?
Because she said on the stand that she told him to stand back. If somebody walked in here and told me to stand back,
In my own house.
I'd be like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, exactly. Most people would be like, who the fuck are you? Like, hands
So,
down.
to me, this is disgraceful.
Yeah.
And, we went down there in the early days of Status Quo. We spoke with Botham's minister, his friends, activists on the ground who had been arrested protesting for Botham John. So this is something we've covered. And it's just amazing. It's amazing. When you have a range of 5 years to 99 years, you would think maybe at the minimum you'd get 20 years here.
Yeah.
25 years. But again, white privilege. And what surprises me here, to tell you the truth, I don't know what the jury vote on this was. We don't know the internal vote.
Yeah.
There's a lot of black people
Yeah.
on that jury. So I'd be interested to know what was the split here between the white jurors and the black jurors, because I would have a very hard time believing that those black jurors, understandably so, would be okay with 10 years.
No, and it wouldn't be okay. And one of the things I'm seeing in the chat is that I want to be clear, and I am a personal belief that all lives matter. A life is a precious thing, and for any life to be taken away, especially young, I have 2 kids myself, and I would never know what to do if anything happened to my kids. But all lives matter. But I think what some people may be missing is that there is an inherent pattern for the last 20 to 80 years, maybe longer, and actually very much longer.
Probably 300.
300 years, but like we're talking about like where civil rights started and maybe progression started happening, where you think, the last 20 years you think it's better out there. I have been personally stopped because I was going 31 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. And because I've always respected police officers, I roll down my windows. If I'm playing music, I put the music down. I say, hey, how can I help you, officer? What's going on? Because I'm not trying to give them an excuse to get aggressive with me. But I've gotten, in that moment where I said, how are you doing? How's the evening going? I've literally gotten, where are you coming from? What are you doing? And why are you going so fast? And the tone was not like, hey man, how's it going? Where you coming from? It was very serious, and I answered the questions, and because I gave him nothing, that doesn't happen. That doesn't always happen. A lot of times situations elevate, escalate, and we get defensive, and they take that as aggression. I get, and I want to say this to play devil's advocate, I get that being a police officer is one of the hardest jobs in the world. I get that. But you got to treat people fairly. You got to respect people. And what I say is that I, a million times over, feel like that has not been the case. A million times. And it's happened over and over and over. And it's a pattern that is set, a precedence that's set. And all lives matter and everybody wants to be safe, but when the rule should be equal. And I'm going to say this because I believe this. If it was a black man killing a white woman, 25 to life. If it was a white woman killing a black man, 25 to life. It should be equal, and it's not. That's the bottom line. It's not. That's a fact.
The last thing I'll say on this, and I know you don't mean it this way, but I cringe when I hear all lives matter because there's not a need to say white lives matter. There's just not a need.
I'll let him say that.
White lives are not like devalued in this country or frankly in most places. So this all lives matter is just frankly dog whistling. Some people who say it like don't consciously mean to dog whistle, but most people who say it are dog whistling because there's no need to like stress the fact that like white lives are important too. The reason you say black lives matter is because they are devalued in this country and have been for a long time. So the bottom line is, to me, this is a major injustice. I would love, and I'll follow up, I would love to know what this jury was thinking. Hopefully, some of the black jurors will speak to the media. I will try to identify who those jurors were because I bet my last bottom dollar that this was divided on racial grounds in that jury on what the sentencing should be. With white jurors kind of, no other way to say it, kind of falling for her, crying on the stand, and I live with this every day, and, giving more of a benefit of the doubt. And that just shows instinctually the race, the not only white privilege, but the racial blindness of most white people, even progressives sometimes. So I'm glad we went down there to cover it. I'm glad she was found guilty. I'm not happy at the penalty here, which to me is a slap on the wrist. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statusquo.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statusquo.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.